Hey everyone, Rich Monroe here with BNB Investing Group. Thanks for jumping on. As you guys know, BNB Investing Group helps new investors and seasoned investors navigate the short-term rental space, whether you're doing acquisitions, the master lease strategy, or if you're managing properties. A lot of us are doing a combination of all of those things. We like to kind of look at the different options that are available, talk about service providers, and then also talk to different investors that have experience and kind of talk about their story, how they got started, and be able to learn from some of their experiences. And so with that, I have Elam King here today with us. He's the founder of Rewonder, and he's going to kind of give us an overview of his business. He's been doing it for 6 years and has grown tremendously. He's actually looking at an acquisition right now to add to his business. And so Elam, thanks so much for jumping on and taking the time today. If you want to give us a brief background and kind of how you got started with short-term rentals.
Yeah. And you mentioned something in the, like the little ad that you did about, I got sick on the first time I ate fast food. I was just making a point. I was very secluded from the rest of the world. So yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got used to it, because it would have probably been a benefit to you.
Yeah, but yeah. So 6 years ago, 7 years ago, this was shortly after we were married. Here.
Those of you guys that are jumping on, please throw a yes in the comments. Let us know you can hear us okay. And then also we're going to be taking some questions. If you guys want to throw some questions in the comments towards the end, we'll try and get to any questions you guys might have. Go ahead, Elam. Sorry.
Yeah, just one guy asking about how to see it. So yeah, about 7 years ago, I started thinking, and what about my long-term or our long-term future? I just got married, and up to that point, I'd been in college. I'd even spent significant amount of time overseas. So I had nothing. In fact, I was still a little bit in debt, like personal debt. And I'm like, and here I'm paying rent for a property, which isn't all wrong. It's just, it's like, if I can be building equity, paying off my own place, that'd be great. So, and I'm like, but I want a property that's going to become an asset and not be a liability. So then here about six and a quarter years ago, something like that, found a property that had been a pretty bad foreclosure. And the neighbors actually told me it was one of the most horrible cleanouts in the whole city. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it was bad. And it was like sometimes wondering if they got the closet and the bathroom mixed up. It was just bad. It was awful. And somehow I don't know how I did it. Like, I don't even know if I want to do that again today. In fact, I know I wouldn't want to do it again today. I convinced some of my friends to loan me money so I can buy the place, rehab it, and then I'll pay them back, which I did. But in the whole process, it costs a lot more than what was expected, which, hey, inexperience is part of it. But then again, anyone who's in real estate kind of knows how there are those tendencies.
Yeah, you're never going to hit your budget exactly. It's always going to be 10, 20% above what you originally estimated, for sure.
But we went way over.
Okay.
And, so then I was this guy that had been overseas for years, just out of college, and struggling to make ends meet, just got married, just a bunch of moving parts. But then I went to my friends. It's really like awkward. It's like, hey, I'm really having a hard time here. I'm having a hard time getting refinanced, because the banks were like, you only have a year of income, because I was overseas, right? Doing volunteer work. And that was for almost 3 years. So they kind of helped me through it graciously. I mean, I'm still hats off to those guys. I mean, and we're still friends. It didn't hurt our relationship in the lease. In fact, I think it strengthened it. So then eventually we were able to get a really good mortgage, back when it was 3%. And then actually we sold it here we sold the property because of changing regulations here like 6 months ago. But to date, I think it's been one of our better investments. Like the return on investment was, I pretty much doubled my money every 2 years on what I
Nice.
put. Just, with the sale and all that, it was pretty crazy. So anyway, that was our first property. And then we did arbitrage, managing for others. We're still managing for others. We're out of arbitrage. Hey, if arbitrage works for you, go for it. It's not a long-term. It doesn't fit my long-term goals. So now we're still managing for others, but we're looking more to like scale the acquisitions and our own properties. And then just so the whole thing of Rewonder, our company name is actually Kingly, but we're rebranding to Rewonder, which is a whole thing of trying to get to not only provide a great experience, but actually touch people's their lives. And that's going to be a lot of work for me to just think through that, lead the team and all that. But yeah.
So when you got that first rehab done, what made you choose to do short-term rentals over long-term rentals?
Oh, yeah, good question. My intent was to get one property that pays for itself. That was it. And I'm like, hold on, this kind of works. So maybe I'll do it again. And then and through that we got into arbitrage, and then eventually another property, a couple more properties, and yeah.
So what was the size of that first property, Elam?
It was a 7-bedroom in Lancaster City.
7 bedrooms. So I noticed the listing picture I used for the flyer, you've got a property that it's got 18 beds, or is that it sleeps 18 people?
No, it has 18 mattresses.
18 mattresses. So you started out on the larger side. 7 beds is a lot to manage.
Yeah, but it was dirt cheap because it was such a piece of trash. But yeah, but then we lived there, so we're no longer paying rent, and we lived there for free.
Okay.
All utilities, all mortgage, all insurance, everything paid by our guests, and then some.
So you did the room by room rentals?
No, what we actually did is we closed a couple doors, put up a bookcase. No one knew it wasn't a multi-unit apartment, and we were completely legal. I asked the city official a lot of questions before I actually pulled the trigger, because, look, I couldn't afford to spend $50,000, because if I would have spent $50,000, it would have been a flat no.
Yeah.
We got the house for $54,000. It would have been a disaster, or a little bit.
So you had a separate entrance where you guys were living, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that attracted me to the property was it has 3 exterior doors. So we had our door and then 2 other units. So a 3-bedroom and a 1-bedroom.
Nice.
So the numbers worked. It was great. Now, eventually we got tired of it. 5 years later, we got tired of it because it's like the walls were thin. Okay. Frankly, there were some problems, but it worked. It just wasn't for the people who wanted a completely secluded getaway.
Sure. And then so from there, you recognized the great opportunity, and then you started doing some rental arbitrage units.
Yeah, one of the first ones, I think it was the first one, is my brother-in-law was planning on moving overseas for a couple years, and I'm like, can we just pay you rent? So we did. Paid him rent for about 2 years till they came back. Now I want it back. I was like, no, I want to give it to you. But anyway, it was their place. And shortly after that, so this was in a 2-unit in a close by city, and shortly after that, that unit went empty, and we're like, well, hey, we can use that too. And
what city was that in?
This was in Ephrata. Excuse me, Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
Got it.
Which is like 25-minute drive from Lancaster City. Yeah.
Got it.
Small cities, but very lucrative cities.
Yeah. And so from there, you started branching out to other areas, or did you continue to grow in that local market?
So by the time we did that, it's like, maybe I should do this, more of it. And I was working for a roofing company at the time, running their service department. I mean, I got out in the roofs a lot too, but so my background is trades. I spent years in the trades. I know buildings very well. So I had a part-time, well, it's almost full-time. And then I did this Saturdays, evenings, or sometimes during the day if I had to. And we just kept adding units. Trying to think. Yeah, in Lancaster City, I went after some landlords and said, hey, would you allow us to do this? So one landlord, we had 3 units with him for a while. But then eventually it's like, man, there's money in this, but not a lot. If you're
what size properties were those?
Anything from a studio to a 3-bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's a row home. And some of them, people, for whatever reason, people were expecting to come to this pristine area. And it's like, this is a loud Hispanic neighborhood. Nothing against Hispanics. I have a Hispanic wife, but it's more the nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just more jovial and, more of a party atmosphere, which is, I actually enjoy it, but some people didn't.
So what was the average net? What was the average net on each unit? What were you netting?
Probably about $500 a month on average.
Mm-hmm.
Per
that is a little bit on the lower side. Yeah.
And that was, I was paying the cleaners, that wasn't doing much other than managing it. Yeah. It actually, it was probably 500 to 1,000.
Yeah. On the good months.
Like mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm talking average. I usually shot for like 6, 7, 8,000 per unit per year. Yeah.
Yeah, we averaged about 800 to 1,200 per month on our units, and most of them were 1 bedrooms, a couple 2 bedrooms that we did our master lease strategy with, and so that was kind of our sweet spot, 800 to 1,200.
Where was this at?
In Midtown Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you were a little bit, and what was your rent?
Rent was 1,400 to 1,500.
Yeah, so your rent was a little bit higher than mine, but yeah.
Yeah, but if we average 120 a night, do the math. After 20 nights, you're at 2,400, and so after utilities and everything, on a bad month, you're in that $600, $700, $800 range as a net.
Yeah.
On some of the, we were in a great area near Piedmont Park, near a lot of the shopping and restaurants and clubs that you could walk to. And so during the summer months, it'd be 90% occupied and a lot of times 100%. So you're doing 3,500, 3,600 gross on those where your cost is 1,400.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, really, well, that was before COVID, like after COVID. Sheesh.
Yeah, after COVID, that we shut down some of those units because, to your point, the numbers just started getting too tight. When you start going 400 or 500. Oh, after COVID, you guys went up?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so instead of getting 100, 125 bucks a night on those 1-bedroom units, right now they're averaging 70 to 80 bucks. And so that changes the dynamic very quickly in terms of the numbers getting tight.
Yeah.
Rental arbitrage right now, we're focused more on some of the larger properties like 3 and 4 and 5-bedroom homes.
So you're still doing rental arbitrage?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you shifted.
I mean, it's a business. It works, but it's just not. It's not a long. Like, I'm creative. I like to have control over the asset, so I can do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I was limited. I could only do so much.
Yeah. Well, I like the diversity, right? So we still buy properties, rehab them, and then do short-term rentals. We have a pretty large management business, which you earn 25% of the gross rents on those units, and so I like the diversity, right? So that's why we still do rental arbitrages, to basically have kind of a mixture of revenue sources. And the beauty of it is, as you know, you can run that all through your same operation. Correct. So I'm not really changing too much internally to manage those different. Doesn't matter if I own it or somebody else owns it, or if it's an arbitrage, it all gets run back office, guest communications, and cleaning
Yeah.
team, and everything the same exact way. So it fits nicely into the cycle for sure.
Do you run into problems with your accounting on that, or you have a pretty good system that accounts for all of them?
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. It's a learning process, for sure. But we have kind of revamped our accounting such that we've got separate business accounts for depending on whether it's a management or rental
Okay.
arbitrage or ownership,
Gotcha.
to be able to categorize that stuff correctly. And of course, when you're managing properties, you're doing monthly reporting, you're sending out monthly ACH payments, and so that has to be kind of done a little bit differently than if it's a property you own.
Yeah. We switched everything to class tracking and kind of complex line items. It works now for us once we get it set up, but yeah, for a while I was so frustrated because there's just no really good solutions out there that can be consumed by the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Masses as in the operators. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm always looking at different channel manager options for that reason, because they all kind of specialize in a different niche for solutions. So,
well, what we actually ended up doing is I paid a developer to connect our channel manager to our QuickBooks. Well, no, connect to our channel manager. Yeah, system that then spits it into QuickBooks, and it's pretty complex in a way that but then it, we know, like, we cross-check things, and we know that the money we're paying out to our owners is down to the cent correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah. So you moved a little bit away from rental arbitrage, and now you're doing management and acquisitions.
Yeah.
So how on the acquisition side, I guess you're in other markets now besides the one you started out in?
Yeah, so we were strong in Lancaster City, and what actually changed there is the city changed their ordinances. It was a little bit of a surprise. It's like, why are we changing the ordinances? So that kind of cut out some of our stuff. But at the same time, it's like I was wanting to go from economy to more luxury, or unique, if you will. And just by that, just kind of pushed me down the road. But yeah, so this last year we've purchased about $2 million worth of real estate. And of course we have this deal that I'm closing here in 10 days that I'm, wrapping up the capital raise for. Almost there, but not quite. And that's about a $2 million purchase, 1.8, but yeah. So okay. I'm not sure why, but I just keep looking at bigger and bigger stuff. And
right.
Yeah, it's not all in the same area. Although our last two acquisitions, our last one was in the Poconos, and this one that we have under contract is also in the Poconos.
And so how many beds, how many acres, how many, the one that you're currently under contract with, how large is that property?
It's a very unique property. It's got 26 and a half acres, 15 bedrooms, and it's a single family home.
Nice. 15 bedrooms.
15 bedrooms. Now,
wow.
I underwrote it based on 10 bedrooms. It's currently permitted for 10, 11. And I had a conversation with the township. I said, what's going to keep me, like, can I go bigger? And they said, well, it's just dependent on septic. Yeah. And so it's two different buildings actually, but it's just a driveway in between. Like, they're really close to each other. Mm-hmm. And the second building with the additional bedrooms has its own septic. So it's like, well, I'm pretty sure it'll work. If it doesn't, let's put a new septic in.
Right.
For that section, which is an expense, but I underwrote everything to make sure the property, with a couple small tweaks, like throwing a hot tub and maybe a pool enclosure, a couple, low-hanging fruit, the numbers will still work nicely. But if we can add additional bedrooms, then it's just so much better on the revenue.
Right. So how do the numbers look? So that listing you currently have that has 18 beds, I'm assuming that could sleep 30 plus people, right? Are there any challenges or different things that you have to do for some of those larger properties when you're managing that many people coming in? Are you having a lot of folks trying to throw events and things of that nature, or how does that look?
Yeah, that is the risk. We've managed everything from a studio to now a 9-bedroom, that's the property you're talking about. 18 beds, and it literally has 18 mattresses.
Are they all queen at least?
Is 18 mattresses, or are we counting couches? I'm kind of forgetting on that. No, they're not. There's some bunk beds. There's actually one room that has 7 bunk mattresses. So it's 4 bunk beds. That one part we turn into like a little kids area, but so you have 7 otherwise. So no, those are all just single.
So is most of your clientele kind of families that are vacationing?
That's what it seems like. I mean, we just went live like 2-3 months ago. Now It's doing well. The numbers are great on it.
What's the average nightly rate?
1,800 probably.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, some people paid a lot more over like Christmas and weekends and stuff like that, but yeah.
And what's your monthly cost on that property?
It's insane. Probably, I mean, my mortgage is $11,000. That includes insurance and taxes. So that was actually a really sweet deal. It's seller finance with a installment sale, which is, I make installment payments, but then it balloons after I think like 4 years. So I have to pay them back in 4 years, but it's still like a 20-year mortgage schedule.
Right.
It's just then I have to refinance and pay them back.
Nice.
But so yeah, like $11,000 in mortgage. I mean, my housekeeping costs are 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, it depends how many stays. And utilities probably about $2,000 a month. It's insane. It's like, get the electric bill down. But
and so what did you estimate your gross monthly income would be on that?
Well, I tend to do it like a year, just like what's my year, and I am looking at like $450,000
in gross rental income.
And gross, yeah. And I think I'm being conservative on it. I mean, I'm kind of watching where the numbers are at, and it looks on track. What is your high seasons? What's your low seasons? Is according to what I'm getting now, but yeah, everything looks fine for hitting those numbers. But yeah.
Are you located near the Poconos?
It's in the Poconos.
But are you physically yourself
me personally,
located?
2 hours away.
2 hours
so
away.
Lancaster's, I'm just west of Lancaster City. But yeah, it's 2 hours, 2-hour drive to that property, but to go deep north into the Poconos is like 3 hours.
Yeah. Do you ever have to go to the property, or you have your cleaning team and maintenance folks kind of lined up?
Yeah. So what we have been doing up to this point is kind of like managing our people. And it's like, well, if we need a repair, or sometimes we go scrambling for someone, depending what it is. But I'm like, this is a huge property. I need to just have a guy, that's like committed to the property. And so we have what was it? Oh, he was the previous guy, the seller. He was using him for his lawn stuff. And I'm like, hey, you want to keep on doing lawn care? When we take over, he's like, yeah, cool. And then like a month into it or sometime later, he's like, I used to do property management, and I can also get you housekeepers. And I'm like, well, let's talk. So we struck up a deal. Nice. So he is our on the grounds property manager.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely the way to do it. I'm based in Georgia, but we have properties in Tampa, Florida, and it's all about that infrastructure in the beginning that you get set up with the cleaning team and the maintenance, so that you're not the one physically having to run to the property every time something goes wrong. You've got boots on the ground team that will handle that. And so
yeah. Well, and also, so I was willing to like, I'm very handy. It's like okay, a door latch is broken. I just go fix it. Except I kind of run into a time bind if I keep doing that. But we also have team members that are willing to do it. But for him, and because we actually weren't in the Poconos when we purchased this property, we had done work in the Poconos before, but we weren't actually at that moment, and so we didn't have a team there. And I'm like, I want to provide a really good customer service, and I don't want to have to deal with finding someone all the time when something breaks, and stuff will break in that property.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, man, I got to find a local property manager. So that it's really sweet. We have it on some other properties as well, like more low key. A neighbor wants something to do here and there. Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need a full-time job, but they want something to do here and there. They're willing to jump when you need them to. So we have that on some of our bigger properties.
How is that local property manager compensated? Is it a percentage like a management fee or a per occurrence? How do you have it structured?
Per occurrence, but then I'm also doing a little bit of rev share.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're still kind of finalizing some of that, but he's a customer service type of person, and he's like, hey, can we do upsells and all that? I'm like, okay, let's talk.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, he has the drive for it. I'm not gonna hold him back. Just needs to be,
definitely.
you know, organized and a good process. But so yeah, you know, I'm like, hey, and he's coming to me saying, hey, I can get you in here and I can get you in there and I can talk to these people and we can list on their website. I'm like, geez, sure, let's do it. So we're kind of have some kind of compensation for some of that stuff, but some of it is, hey, go out and get our name out there. We generate more revenue. You get rev share, you know.
Right. So how many properties are you up to now as a portfolio?
Right now, I think we're only we scaled back quite a bit on like the arbitrage and the management. So I think we're like at 14 right now. We're not big.
Okay. And what's your back office?
We have big properties. Some of
right. Them. Yeah. No. So that revenue. I mean, you probably, it sounds like you kind of trim the fat, which is the right thing to do. I mean, as we learn this business firsthand, it's great to conceptually say, well, heck, I've got, 40 properties. Well, we all learn from our experiences and basically start, shedding the ones that aren't as profitable. Right. And then you kind of focus your time and efforts on the ones that are. And so we've done the similar thing in our business.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have 5 big ones than 20 or 30 small ones, because the small ones, unless you're concentrated, but if you're the only time we have been concentrated is in Lancaster and Ephrata, and everything else has been more like within 3-hour drive of our house.
Yeah.
And for a while it kind of bothered me because it's like, hey, you concentrate, you focus on one area and then you go to the next. I'm like, I'm trying, but the opportunity is here and the opportunity is there that kind of fits. And it's just like, and I'm not going to turn that away because, well, we're not there. It's like, well, if there's opportunity there, why not?
Sure.
So it worked. Yeah, you're not quite as efficient, but if you do big properties and then you can have a local property manager, then it makes sense.
So besides the local property manager concept, how does the rest of your team look for guest communications, back office, those types of things? What's that structure look like? So
for our housekeepers, just hire someone local and, make sure they're good and watch them and all that. But then, I mean, we still have a lot like in the Lancaster County area, probably half our properties. So we actually have an employee that is our head housekeeper. But then we have 2 VAs that are doing a lot of the guest communications. And other things, creating listings and all that jazz.
Are the VAs based in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Since we started 8 years ago, we've been using VAs as well, and they're great at guest communications and creating listings and things like that. But anything above that, it's very difficult to get done. So
yeah, it's the culture. The culture is very much tell me what to do and I'll do it, and they do it well.
right.
But yeah, I want you to manage this and make sure that this never happens. It's not quite as
if you have anything that has an if then statement in it, it's not gonna work out. It's like, here, this is what we need to do. Go do that. Good. Okay, perfect. We're good. But anything beyond that,
it's good. Like, that's kind of been my conclusion, but it's good to hear someone else say it as well. Yeah.
But you're right. But they're good at what they do. But it's got to be very laser focused on the task at hand for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And with the team, then we have designers, you know, that we're in connection with. In fact, this 18 bed one, I had never used them before. I had known them, and I told them, say, hey, we are going to go crazy on this property. I need you to be insane and do crazy stuff. And they did it.
Really? Well, I saw the picture that we had on the flyer was a waterfall in a dining room table. Did I see that right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a true waterfall, but it's epoxy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. It's those little things that make you different and unique that are going to have people, you know, jumping on your listing and booking with you for sure.
That table should be sold for $30,000.
Would you pick it up? Do you had it made, or you had it picked up at a swap meet or something?
No, we did it on site. It's too big to move.
Wow.
And you know why? And we spent a lot of money on that. It's like, why spend that money? I mean, I think, it was $10,000 worth of epoxy.
Holy moly.
I'm not joking. $10,000 worth. Now, I got a discount on it because I got so much, but still. But I had looked at different options and different guys who could do it, but it's just like the cost is going way up just in handling the thing. And I'm like, why can't I hire someone in the area that would do the epoxy? You know, we built a mold right there. So yeah, where that table was sitting, it was poured right there.
I'm going to try and see if I can put it up on the screen, because it's really, you got to see it for everybody to understand. So let me pop it up here.
And then it has, you know, these three beefy, you can't see it in that picture, but it has three beefy 2-foot tree trunks underneath as the legs. A lot went in this table.
Did I lose the screen, or are you still looking at it? Yeah.
So, no, I still see it.
Yeah. So that's the table we're talking about, and that's incredible. Like, it goes back to, you know, being unique and having something that's different, and making your listing pop. And, you know, rightfully so, you've got that as your main listing picture, and, you know, you probably get its immediate attention.
It was one of those things where I was like, all right, I'm going to make a statement. I'm very creative. So I like doing it, but it's like, I'm just making a statement. Yeah. And that's what we did.
Very cool. So
it was a crazy lot of work, and weird things happen. I mean, I had hired someone to do the epoxy part, and she was doing great until the very last coat. I'm like, what in the world happened? Just all screwed up. And, you know, I graciously approached it and said, hey, look. And then we kind of made a deal where, and this epoxy gets hard. You know, we made a deal where she would grind some of it out on her time, and then we would patch it up with my epoxy. So we kind of made an agreement there. And in the whole process, things were not going well for her, so she walked off the job.
Oh, wow.
Then one of our handyman, he's not an employee, but he's a core part of our team. He's like, Elam, I think we can do this. And he's a very, like, he's one of those technical guys. He zeroes in on the details.
Right.
He's really good at what he does. He's a major craftsman. And I said, dude, you know, when you say stuff like that, you know, I mean, he's been with us for years. You know, I trust you. So let's do it. The table is far from perfect, but it's amazing.
No, it looks amazing from the pictures. I can't imagine
It
in
is.
person for sure.
Um,
So you
there is
told your
actually on my Facebook page, there's different videos that I did. If anyone here watching is curious about more of it, just go on my Facebook page. You'll see it.
Yeah, I'll put a link to your Facebook page in the comments
Sure.
here so folks can check that out. That's awesome. So you told your designers on this next property to go crazy. So I'm anxious to see what that's going to look like. And
No, on that project.
just on that property. Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And they definitely went crazy with it for sure. That's awesome. Very cool.
The next one that's coming up, crazy isn't like the reason it worked on this property. The property's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even half normal. There's nothing.
Yeah,
about it.
like how many people can sit at that table? Like
20,
that's insane. That's
20.
insane.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane.
I need to do is go after influencers. They will be all over it. I just haven't done it yet. But influencers, they would, yeah.
Nice.
But no, like this next property, it's called the Green Gables. So it's kind of like Americana, you know, old historic. So the goal there is going to be draw that out. But this other property, the one you just showed, it's just insane.
I like it. Very cool.
And we made a mystery room. Like we cut a hole in the floor, did a trap door, and you don't actually see it until you find it. You go down this slide into this dark room, but we just went wild on it.
Very cool. Very cool. So as we come to a close here, what's new in the future? Are you going to be doing more acquisitions? Is that kind of your acquisitions growth more so going forward? You know, what are your goals, you know, the next year or two?
Yeah. So I mean, I have spent a lot of time in just the operations of vacation rentals, you know, the day-to-day. But I'm more and more training my team to do the day-to-day, and eventually probably I'll pull in like an operations manager, because it takes a lot of focus, you know, just, you know, managing your VAs, you know, keeping your team up to snuff, all that kind of jazz. And then my goal was to get in acquisitions. You know, if I can find $20 million worth of real estate this year that's going to work and I can get funded, then I'm going to do it.
So you're using hard money, you're using private money, you're using seller financing, you're doing fundraising with private investors. You're kind of doing a little bit of everything there to gain traction for acquisitions, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've done mortgages on regular bank mortgages on some of our properties, but this current one, it's a bank statement loan. They look at your revenue and make a decision based on that, and then bringing investors to fill in the gap.
Very cool. Yeah, we've done a lot of the same type of stuff. Yeah, so it's good to use other people's money as much as you can, right?
There's no way I can. Well, I shouldn't say there's no way. I mean, with this crazy property that I was talking about, you know, with the crazy table, that one, it took a lot of money, and I don't have a great amount of reserve left. And so now I have to bring in other people, and I can't buy $20 million worth of real estate on my bank account. There's no way.
Right.
And I don't want to wait till I have the money. I want to do it, you know. I'm willing to give up equity to make it happen, because then that generates cash flow, and then eventually, you know, maybe I can take down bigger stuff if I want. But
nice. Cool. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time today. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to throw your Facebook page in the comments below. So if anybody's interested to reach out to Elam, feel free to do that. And thanks again for jumping on. Like I said earlier, BNB Investing Group, we try to help investors. If you guys are ready to start growing a scalable short-term rental business and want to see if there's an option for us to help you out with that, feel free to reach out to me directly as well on Facebook Messenger. We'll have a quick 10-15 minute call and see if this is a good fit for you or not. But Elam, thanks again, brother. I appreciate it. Wish you good luck with this next acquisition, and you know, we'll touch base with you sometime soon and get an update, see how things are going.
Yep, I just need to get that one or two more investors to close off. It's uncomfortable, but
You'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Elam. Thanks everybody
All
for
right.
jumping on this week. We'll see you guys next Thursday.
Yeah, bye.